It's Podcast O'Clock, and you're listening to Vanessa Emadi. Thank you for tuning in. Our podcast is an initiative built to create awareness of governance issues that highlights the cost of corruption and its impact on service delivery. It is also aimed at promoting values that will help build a society with people of integrity and provide solutions to service delivery challenges faced by everyday Nigerians. This year, Step Up Nigeria has extended anti-corruption education beyond the walls of the classroom. We've educated school owners, we've educated parents, teachers, community members on the impact of corruption, and many of them have started to take action in their schools and communities. We've also expanded to new states like Nasarawa and Imo State. We've expanded anti-corruption education beyond Nigeria using our films, Emeka's Money, Halima's Votes. For example, this year, Halima's Votes won the Toronto Animation Arts Festival International Award for Best International Film. And we were so excited, so elated to get that message, to get that news that this film had impact, not just in Nigeria, not just relating to the problems facing some of the communities in Nigeria, but people outside of Nigeria could relate to that message. On today's episode, we'll be speaking on some of the key results we got in 2022 and what to expect from us in 2023. I have special guests from the Step Up Nigeria team to discuss this. I have Fermi Ionda, who is the Deputy Program Director. Hi, Fermi. I have Halimat Olufade, who is the Senior Program Associate in Abuja.
Hi, Vanessa.
Thank you, Halimat. And I have David Ayinde, who is our Teachers Training Consultant. Hello,
Hi,
David.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much. So starting with Halimat, what was the most outstanding achievement for you this year?
The most outstanding achievement for me this year is that Step Up Nigeria was able to engage 20,559 children in just 1 year, and that was one of the biggest achievements for me because we were able to expand to Imo, Nasarawa, as I mentioned earlier, and we were able to educate children on the negative impact of corruption. And the children are not only being educated, they are actually taking active action against corruption in their respective spaces. And this year, we were able to see a lot of champions in our Anti-Corruption Star Awards. We have Esther from Abuja, who stopped her mom from giving bribes to the fuel attendant. We have Ali Amin Abubakar in Nasarawa that stopped his father from giving bribe to the policeman. We have Presence in Imo that actually stopped somebody from stealing things from a shop owner. And we have Yetunde from Lagos, who was in the correctional center, and through listening to us and going through our anti-corruption education, she became reformed and went back home. Those amazing stories was just a wow for me this year, and I'm actually impressed with what we did Step Up.
Thank you so much, Halima. That was really impressive. Thank you so much. Can we hear from you, David? What stood out for you this year?
Thank you, Vanessa. For 2022, I would say what stood out for me very much is the teachers training program. The last phase, which is the second phase in our series of training teachers, we trained over 322 teachers to be precise, from 252 schools in Nigeria. Interestingly, to mention, we had teachers who registered from outside the country, but then we need to focus on Nigeria because Nigeria is the pain point, right? But then it shows that our education, anti-corruption education to teachers is doing a lot. One very distinct stories that we would always like to tell is one from Mrs. Babajide. She's a government school teacher from Iba Estate School. After being trained, she taught well over 10 teachers in her school plus more. These are two teachers that she directly trained herself, so we could say there were 10, but she trained more because right on the assembly ground, a lot more teachers in government schools are listening to her. She could measure their level of concentration, and then a lot of them actually got to turn over by teaching more children. We know how government schools are in the large states they are in. Imagine just one teacher who was trained virtually, training more teachers who in total trained over 100 plus children by direct training them. So I'd say that stood out for me last year. It was a plus for Step Up. It was a very big move compared to the previous phase that we had in the previous year. And I would say kudos to Step Up, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you, David. We really appreciate that. For me, what stood out for you this year?
Thank you, Vanessa. Like you said, I'm almost tempted to say this was Step Up's busiest year, but I feel like at the end of every year, we make that same remark because Step Up Nigeria is always doing so much and so much great work as well in educating the next generation and educating young people and communities as well. But I think of all the things we did this year, the key result that I would say stood out for me the most was in terms of the progress we made towards institutionalizing anti-corruption education. One of our key goals, as we are aware, we can't visit every single school in Nigeria, we can't speak to every young person, and we may not be able to sensitize everyone that we meet every day. And so at Step Up, we think, how can we ensure that anti-corruption teaching is institutionalized in a way that beyond our daily teaching, the day-to-day teaching in classrooms in schools all over Nigeria, this topic is being taught. And as David has mentioned, some of our teachers, have already begun teaching this in school and they've begun training other teachers. But what we've been able to do on the policy side is ensure that state level curriculum departments have approved our anti-corruption storybooks for use in their schools. And so currently, we have 4 storybooks: Emeka's Money, Halima's Vote, Tosin's Story, and Answer Speech. And Lagos State is the pioneer state where all 4 of those anti-corruption storybooks have been approved to be used to teach anti-corruption education in schools all over Lagos State. And that's a huge win for us because that means that Lagos State has the largest number of primary schools anywhere in the country, which means that this has allowed millions of children get access to anti-corruption education just by this one approval. In FCT, we have our storybooks also being approved at the national level, Halima's Vote being approved by NERDC. But this year specifically, we also got approval for our storybooks by the FCT ERC. In Imo State as well, our storybooks, Emeka's Money, Tosin's Story, and Halima's Vote were also approved by the Imo State Universal Basic Education Board. And in Nasarawa State also, the Nasarawa State Education Board has also approved our storybooks for use to teach civic education and other subjects in schools. And this has ensured that in all the 4 states where we are implementing our anti-corruption education for social change project, all those 4 states have our anti-corruption storybooks approved, which means every school we go to now to engage, we can actually give them like a sustainability plan to ensure that these books approved by the state government can be used daily to teach literature, to teach English, moral instruction, civic education, security studies, and whatever topic or whatever subject that a teacher deems fit. And that's also exciting for us because this year we partnered with the Association for Formidable Educational Development, AFED. And AFED is the association for all the low-cost private schools in Lagos. And they boast of over 3,000 schools as their members with over 5 million children. And we actually partnered with AFED this year, building on the approval received from the Lagos State government. And AFED has agreed to mainstream anti-corruption education in all their 3,000 plus schools come January 2023, my bad. And that's exciting for us. They started it this year, but that's exciting for us because now at least we know that in AFED as a group, daily in their classrooms, using civic education as the subject, anti-corruption will be taught every day. And so these approvals that we've gotten from state governments and partnerships with associations like AFED have ensured that anti-corruption education will be mainstreamed in Nigerian schools in 2023, regardless of Step Up Nigeria's engagement or involvement, because these people have taken ownership of the program and have seen the reason why education is important. Thank you.
Okay, so we are saying all of these wonderful key results that took place in Step Up Nigeria, but I'm sure that there were some challenges that we all experienced. So I'll start with Fermi. What challenges did you experience this year?
Thank you, Vanessa. Like you said, I think it's been a trying year as well. I think even for the team, Step Up Nigeria is one of those NGOs that it's so, results and beneficiary focused that sometimes we even have more initiatives than staff to carry them out. But I think that's a good problem to have in that we're doing such great work. One of the key challenges I think we faced this year was how we had to sort of transition our ways of working because we launched new initiatives. And so we had to learn how was the best way to work with parents, how was the best way to work with stakeholders in the government, in the public sector. And one of the issues that we did face was engaging, public officials, trying to sell the need to be an integrity champion, to sell the need to be an anti-corruption fighter. And for a lot of them, it was just like, We all know corruption. We've talked about all these things a number of times. Why do we still need to be at a meeting? But I think what Up Nigeria has proven is that your approach and your tools matter exceptionally in the effect that you hope to have. And so even though people were skeptical even around the virtual reality film, when people actually saw the virtual reality film, which linked new technologies with storytelling, people were convinced all the more that they needed to start to take action to tackle corruption in the education sector. And so we have learned that the approach and the tools are important in facing a challenge like selling anti-corruption to people who are sort of already stuck in the system of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Fermi. Can I hear from Halimat? What challenges did you experience?
Okay, so I would say engaging children could be fun, but because we also focus on local schools, and some of them where they're actually located are quite deep inside the communities. And the rain last year was more than the rain we expected. So team members had to go out inside the rain to engage children. There was a time the team members in Imo had to pull off their shoes and walk inside the rain, inside the house of the school, because the whole place was blocked by drainage, lack of drainage and all that. So I think that was one of the major challenges we faced. How we were able to scale through that was, go out with our umbrellas, raincoats, and the rest when it's raining, and I think, and also see as much as we could do on dry days when it's not raining, because we can't really control the nature.
Thank you, Halimat. Can we hear from David? What challenges did you experience?
Continuing from where Halima stopped, Lagos intentionally would not be left out. One major challenge, as Halima said, is trying to gain access to sensitizing, engaging, and even going back for an evaluation for the children in some schools, specifically Badagry. That was one of our most challenging engagements back then. Another one, just to add a bit, is also the challenge we faced with getting communities in Lagos for the First Time Voters Initiative. It was quite challenging for the team because even first off, people are skeptical about the message you are bringing. We got resistance with people saying, I hope this is not partisan. And then it took us times 2 the effort compared to other initiatives of Step Up Nigeria. It took us times 2 the effort to get these people to understand that we're coming for their good. And then voila, we're able to mitigate that by speaking with them, making sure they understood. We bought in, we spoke their language. And at the end of the day, they became the advocates, where we even set up another initiative called the Community Integrity Initiative, where those ones became gatekeepers in those communities, engaging more teenagers, engaging more young people. And at the end of the day, we are going into more communities with that success story. So I'll say those were the major challenges that we had for last year, and then how we're able to come through. Thank you. For
me, it would be the insecurity. So there were a lot of insecurities in Abuja and Imo especially. Imagine you trying to go to a school to educate the children, but then you can't go there because that place, you don't know what is happening. They're shooting people, they're killing, so many things are happening. And this really prevented us from carrying out our education with children. And so I think that's why our expansion to teachers and parents and school owners, I think that's why it's very important, because now imagine you training teachers, they are in that school already. So now they can be the ones to teach their children, teach the students the right things to do. And parents now who are now on board with teaching their children anti-corruption education. So those ones now can also now instill these values at home. So at home, when the children can't go to school because of insecurity, so they stay at home and their parents teach them the right thing to do. So I'm just glad that these things are happening. Like, despite all of these challenges, we were able to overcome, and we are here. We are where we are right now. And even there are times that the road was so bad, we take bikes. Do you remember? So we take bikes, and sometimes the road is flooded. I remember there was one we took. It was flooded. I was on this bike, and we kept going. Like, there's this long river, and there's nothing I can do because I have to reach that school. Like, those children need anti-corruption education. They need it. So every child is important, no matter where they are. And I think that's one thing that Step Up Nigeria has managed to do so far. And I'm just really glad that I'm with this team, and we're doing great things. So now our listeners are eager. What are they to expect come 2023? Let me start with Halimat.
One of the things I look forward to next year is engaging over 5,000 children across our targeted states, and also majorly children living with disabilities and out-of-school children, and also mainstreaming anti-corruption education in different parts of the country using our workbook. We also look forward to training more teachers, civic education teachers to be specific, to be able to teach anti-corruption education in school. And I also look forward to having new champions come in 2023 in our Anti-Corruption Star Awards, ranging from children, parents, teachers, school owners, stakeholders, people in communities that are taking action against corruption. I also look forward to having our documentary series, which will be coming up, and where we're going to be showing stories of people that have shown integrity and how they could, inspire other people to take actions against corruption and act in their respective spaces. So 2023 is looking quite good and interesting, and I can't even wait for January to be here to start.
Thank you so much, Halimat. Can we hear from David?
Okay, so what am I looking forward to in 2023? I'll say number one will be the First Time Voters Integrity Initiative that Step Up launched for the first time last year. It was quite interesting to see young people who we had their mindsets change sporadically from not being interested in the electoral process of the country towards now becoming champions at the end of the day. And as Halima mentioned, the award ceremony also saw people who had done a lot of things and then were encouraged and awarded for more things. Another thing to look forward to under the First Time Voters Initiative is the Hangouts. We usually have First Time Voters Hangouts where we sensitize very elites of the elites as well as community people.
Yes, so First Time Voters, there's going to be a hangout in Lagos in January, a First Time Voters Hangout. We'll advertise that on our social media, so please look out for it and come through.
And we're looking forward to the establishing and then taking advantage of tech. It was interesting last year. We're looking forward to 1,000 people in multiple communities who will be sensitized about how they can fight against corruption, and then also be able to stand and engage politicians for proper service delivery. Second on my list would be the launch of the Tosin's Story movie. For those of us who have been following so far, Tosin's Story is one of the 4 animated movies that Step Up Nigeria has created to educate children and even, interestingly, adults on what they need to know about corruption and how they can fight against it. I'm looking forward to that in the 2023 when it comes, sometimes say midway next year. So much looking forward to that and seeing how it has effectively changed the mindset of people being immersed in virtual reality and how that also goes. So that's one very exciting point for me. Looking forward to 2023. Lastly will be the Step Up Nigeria Integrity Certification Program. We saw how a lot of schools last year or this year, I'm already in 2023, we saw how a lot of schools were actually enthusiastic in getting certified. Also drawing from the mention of the awards looking forward to next year, about 10 schools across Nigeria were certified schools who stand for integrity, who ensure that the admission process goes through the right proceedings, the educational process, and then ensuring that all of them abide by the set rules and regulations according to their code of conduct. So yeah, that'll be my highlights for 2023. Looking forward to it. It's always a lot of work, but it's always exciting work for Step Up. And we're looking at how we can change the entire world, starting from Nigeria, to hold and stand for integrity, and to fight against corruption, to hold on anti-corruption values going forward. So yeah, very exciting one for me. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, David. More community members, more children. Okay, Rami, let's hear from you. What are you expecting?
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm excited for 2023 because we are doing a couple of new things that we've never done before. And some of those new things have never been done in Nigeria altogether. So we have innovation coming through in 2023. Like David has mentioned, the possibility of a new virtual reality film. I mean, we have one for public servants, but the possibility of a new one to educate first-time voters is quite exciting. But in 2023, we hope to use the existing virtual reality tool we have, Sherifat School, to engage even more, at least 60 more senior public servants on the need to stop kickbacks in education sector and how they can act against corruption and promote integrity in their ministries, departments, and agencies. And we also hope to get more stories from our public servants. This year, I hope we will have a public servant anti-corruption star. which will be someone who in their ministry, department, or agency has actually taken 1 to 3 steps to put like a code of conduct or to prevent kickbacks or to ensure that integrity is, in the process of procurement and things. Hoping that virtual reality film would have motivated at least 1 or 2 or 3 people to take action to stop corruption in their ministries, departments, or agencies. So that's something I'm looking forward to. We are also launching a new animated comic book series. The tax has been the favorite gift for all our children over the last 4 years. The tax are the anti-corruption superheroes. And we currently have 2 episodes, but more episodes of the comic book series will come out next year. And we are hoping to launch an animated series of the comic books next year as well, which should be really exciting. And finally, we'll be coming through with a new app. It's going to be, I don't want to give away too much because we're going to launch this, but we have an app that will be very beneficial to Nigerians in promoting integrity culture and reducing corruption. And something else that will accompany that is a new game. Stop Nigeria is finally launching our game to promote integrity culture as well. So those new technologies will be exciting to see next year as well. And we're hoping that even though we had many wins this year, we'll be able to expand, anti-corruption education and also just deepen anti-corruption education and engagement with youth, with communities, young people, and hopefully raise that next generation that will shun corruption and act with integrity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fermi. So I've heard a new comic book. I've heard Tosin Stories launch. I've heard so many things. I've heard an app. We are producing an app. Okay. Step Up Nigeria, I see you. You've heard from the team. You don't want to miss out on all of these plans. So to stay updated, kindly follow us on our social media handles, Twitter and Instagram at step_up_Nigeria, on LinkedIn at Step Up for Social Development and Empowerment in Nigeria, on Facebook at Step Up Nigeria, on TikTok at Step Up Nigeria TV, and on YouTube at Step Up TV. Remember, this podcast can be found on all podcasting platforms. So from all of us at Step Up Nigeria, we wish you a happy New Year.
Wishing you an amazing year.
Thank you. Yes, wishing you all an amazing year.